Twitch, a platform known for its family-friendly gaming content with nothing controversial, is in the hot seat again as a Twitch streamer has allegedly scammed hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then, oh boy, does the story get out of control. An SA allegation was thrown out there. Streamers capitalized on that moment to go for the throat. And boy oh boy, would you know it, TwitchCon is right around the corner. Some have even said that it's turning into Gangs of New York. But let's break this all down.
Adriana is a clout chaser.
Of what you can deem of it, it's sexual harassment, whatever.
If she thought that Slick raped her or sexually assaulted her.
This is Sliker, a streamer who's the spark of this story, who had risen to prominence and come under fire for scamming and being a self-confessed gambling addict. In Sliker's own words, this started with simple little old CSGO skins.
I worked a long time ago. It's so hard to say this, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm just gonna get with it. Ever since CSGO, not to blame, but ever since CSGO Lounge came out, it was the first time I went on that site, and it was a fun place to be on, you know, gamble skins and stuff, and wow, eventually I found out you could gamble with money.
For the unfamiliar, CSGO has this case loot box system where you roll for weapon skins. This has been a contentious form of content for years, and in gaming in particular, it is a huge spot of controversy. It's often compared to hitting a slot machine where the odds are never really in your favor. Which is why it's also important to mention that some creators secretly have stakes in these businesses, this gambling online industry. Some are even flown out for sponsored streams where gambling companies set up a system where the streamer wins a set amount of money, a set amount agreed upon beforehand. There's also the problem of various Twitch streamers being sponsored by pump and dump altcoins. All of this is going on without disclosure or without being 100% honest. On top of that, you have regular streamers who are just gambling large sums of money on Twitch, funded entirely by donations from their viewers. Payouts for these types of gambling streams that are sponsored, by the way, are incredibly high. And you've got to realize that in these cases, the house always wins. And you, my fair audience, do not have a direct line to the house. In order for Sliker to keep up the gambling, he'd turn to his audience, even in private. Sliker would go around asking people for money to keep this train, this addiction of his moving.
So cringe, and I'm cringe for asking my brother, please do not hate me. Please, keep it personal as well. Basically, my bank account got locked. This has happened for like 3-4 days. I've been asking around people, sadly. Tomorrow is the last day until my credit starts getting fucked up. It got locked out, and I was looking for people that actually work and that I could ask if I could borrow from, and I'll pay back. Genuinely, give me 2 months and I can pay back.
CoffeeZilla, who's a specialist in money and scammer stories, reported a whopping total of $384,000 and counting that have been taken, with 55 unique victims, and this includes very prominent creators, Trainwrecks, Oompaville, many more between YouTube and Twitch. Sliker would get money out of these people by telling them stories about how he's basically in dire straits. He would tailor the stories depending on the victim, and he even targeted someone who was going through chemo. I would like to make it clear that Sliker apologized on stream after the footage had come out of him scamming people. What people don't seem to realize is that it was a reaction. He apologized after the footage leaked, after getting caught. At least that's how it looks to me, and from what I've seen online, the footage came out first before he even talked about it. Don't get me wrong, addiction is real and I have stories that I could share to make my point, but some have been they've been giving him untold sympathy, giving a lot more than maybe they should. We should be able to sympathize with how painful addiction can be without avoiding the discussion of the damage that addiction can also cause to others around them.
She thought she was his friend. Her name is Lupelli, and she was going through chemo when she was scammed by this guy. He did this to you while you were going through chemo?
Well, I was going through chemo, man.
He knew that while asking you for money.
This story's gonna get derailed in a second. It's about to turn into something else. Now, Trainwrecks, who I mentioned earlier, and XQC, another famous streamer, have been looking to pay back all of those wronged by Sliker, but, you know, the story about Sliker turned into a huge public discourse in the zeitgeist of Twitch, with some of its biggest creators getting together on stream and discussing this event and what Twitch should do about gambling.
Like, everyone is so soft nowadays. Like, you are influenced to do so many things that are not good for you financially, physically, mentally, every day. You're influenced to fucking eat fast food, which is not good for your health. You're influenced to fucking gamble. There's signs on the highways. There's fucking lottery tickets you see every time you walk into a convenience
Cigarettes,
store.
drinking alcohol.
You literally, like, people do fucking Budweiser seltzer ads on their streams. Like,
Thank you for the amazing suggestion, Krina. Now that you've lost your job promoting illegal crypto gambling websites, would you like to join my YouTube editing team? Is that what you're asking here?
But you know, with all debates, we can handle it like adults, can't we? We can be professional. That is certainly a tweet. It's not surprising, but why is a Twitter argument where I get to find out about this incredibly serious thing? Hopefully somebody elaborates on it soon. I should mention before we go on that YouTube has fluctuating income, so if you'd like to turn that into a salary, you can do so via my Patreon like these lovely people. I stream on Twitch as well, but you know, I'm not like these people. I've honestly thought of switching platforms since Twitch has a really bad culture, but back to the news. So yeah, you got these two sides to this argument. You know, is gambling allowed? Is gambling not allowed? Many streamers say it should be banned on Twitch to quote unquote protect the youth or any other similar such arguments. And then the opposite side argues that this narrative is being used as a way to discredit or ruin other streamers who do gamble legitimately. I mean, they don't take sponsors, but a lot of that money does come from donos. I mean, they're funded by their fans, and their fans are funding their huge amounts of money that they're putting into this gambling. But that's not me giving my take on it. I'm just saying that's how they get their money. But you see, there was this tweet by Asmongold, who's like a WoW streamer, if you don't know. He called for the removal of gambling, and he said, quote, "How the fuck is Sliker not banned on Twitch? Guy literally uses the platform to defraud dozens of people. Streamers and viewers alike admit it. JDon is still sitting with a permaban while Sliker gets to go live and laugh about an actual crime. It's an absolute disgrace." And then Asmongold goes on to at Twitch over on Twitter. But Trainwreck, the streamer I mentioned earlier who was going to work with XQC to play people back, he actually responded to this, and oh boy did he have something hot to say. Quote, "Because your pals decided it was in their best interest to use the platform, the very person that scammed everyone for his horse racing and tennis bets, to somehow twist it and wager their war against me. And we both know deep down why the insecure little man is doing this." Now, them were fighting words, and now other Twitch streamers were coming in to give their hot takes or just leave funny little emojis as their opinion. Mizkif is another streamer, and he's soon to be a main character in his story as his little tweet cascaded into something else entirely. His tweet was talking about Joltcoin, it's an altcoin, and then Train dropped a huge bomb, an SA allegation, not involving Miz as a perpetrator, but involving another streamer with a similar name to the first guy, CrazySlick. So remember, Sliker is another guy, he's the con man gambling addict. CrazySlick, who I'll call Slick from now on, is a friend of Mizkif. So clearly this story is starting to get confusing. I'm throwing out a lot of names, so let's just go over and establish where we are. Sliker was outed as a con man, all that stuff. Now streamers are discussing gambling. Mizkif and Trainwreck get into an argument where Train then reveals a cover-up. Who's the CrazySlick guy? Who is Slick? This guy was accused of SA against AdriannaLee, another Twitch streamer. This Slick is good friends with Mizkif. Now, these are all the characters you need to know in the story. These are all streamers. Allegedly, CrazySlick entered a room where Adriana was passed out drunk and touched her chest in what some would describe as fondling and others would describe as being a worried friend or just being a bit weird. Apparently, he was quote-unquote checking her pulse.
Question. I've only recently
figured out and found out, especially without sitting, that it's sexual assault. Because even yesterday we looked up the definition on stream, and that's what it was.
Well, it's like, even, you know, when that stuff happens to you, you don't immediately, your first reaction is like, that didn't actually happen. Like, it's not as bad as, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? Because, like, you try to gaslight yourself. So, of course, you're going to say that at first.
And only hearing word of mouth, like, I've only heard that screenshot for so long. You know? And for up until we talked about it, because it's not something I brought up to my friends. Oh, by the way, like, yeah, that thing that you texted me, you know, that screenshot that everyone has seen where it's like, oh, just guy with the black Justin Bieber hair. And that whole time, I was just told he touched my neck and, like, my wrist and tried to check my pulse. And then I found out as we were writing that twit longer that he touched my chest. And I was like, that was...
Now, it's alleged that after this incident, Slick tried to blacklist Adriana for what had happened, right? Her twit longer, when it initially happened, rocked the boat, per se, right? So, meanwhile, streamers Mizkif and Maya, again, another streamer, they were dating at the time. You know, when Adriana made her initial twit longer, she did not call it SA, and I bet you're wondering why that is. The wording in this twit longer was allegedly decided after a conversation with Maya as a mode of damage control. This is all alleged, of course, but here is what Maya said.
If she thought that Slick raped her or sexually assaulted her, and at the time, we agreed, or at the time, she said no. So I said, okay, could you include that in your twit longer then? And she said, okay. She still wanted to tell her whole story. She said everything that happened that night in that twit longer. She wrote out what had happened that night. And then she wrote, to be clear, he did not rape or assault me, but his actions did make me uncomfortable. She wrote out the whole twit longer. She showed me it. And I said, thank you for including that, because I didn't want added speculation to what was happening with Slick. I didn't think of it as a rape, or honestly, I didn't think of it as a sexual assault at the time. The way we were talking about it, what had happened, and she said that she didn't feel like it was like that. And was there a power dynamic in that situation? Because I'm a bigger streamer, yes. And I feel bad about that. It wasn't my intention to introduce that to the situation. I wasn't trying to impose that on her. I wasn't trying to pressure her, you know, or like force her into saying something. But did it naturally exist? Yes.
So Maya didn't think it was that serious at that time. She didn't think it was all that crazy, all that strange. Meanwhile, here's another clip of her reading the DMs from then, where she calls it assault in the DMs.
6 asked if she was okay. She said, yeah, she's hanging in there. I said, I'm fine. Thank you for talking to us today. I'm sorry, talking to us being me, Mitch. And I said, I'm sorry for what happened with Slick. I know what it's like to be assaulted, feel triggered, blah, blah, blah. To deal with those feelings in the public eye is a lot. And she said, thank you so much for helping me with this. It's just a lot of anxiety. I was there with her while she was writing it, but I'm not like holding a gun to this girl's head. I'm not like trying to pay her off. I'm not blackmailing her into saying what I want her to say.
I just wanted to bring that up because I felt it was a little strange to say it wasn't, or I didn't think it was that, and then have messages from that time where you say it is that. You know, when I saw that, my jaw dropped, and that was the first jaw drop of the night as I've been reading through these. You know, this is a dark day for people who say Monka S in public. I also want to mention that Adriana has been called a clout chaser for talking about this, right? And in particular, streamer Just the Minx was one of the people who called her a clout chaser.
They went out and Slick literally was just himself. And they took it the wrong way. Slick is good. Slick is weird. Yeah, he is weird. But he does it online. Like, it's always how Slick is. And Adriana is a clout chaser.
Okay, so, you know, I'm trying not to interweave my opinion with the news. I try not to do that, but, you know, that's not a great take. Slick does it online, correct. He does do it online. At least the information we've seen is that Slick does do it online, allegedly, right? I will say that, you know, these messages could be faked, but right now it really doesn't look good when you say he acts like this online. And Yeah, he does. Allegedly, at least. And listen, just because that's how he acts with friends and it's cool with you guys, that's one thing. But we're talking about other people here, and some people aren't his friend. Yeah, is there a possibility that Adrianna is lying? She was drunk. It's hard to remember. But you know, people told her what happened. It could have been worse than what we know, just as much as if it could have not happened at all. But, you know, if I was hedging my bets here, pun intended when talking about this, right, I'd place my money on something happened and that Adrianna isn't taking the piss. Now, since we're on the path of showing a lot of really incriminating stream clips, here's Miz downplaying it while live, just to add more fuel to that fire.
Of what you can deem of it, it's sexual harassment, whatever. At a low scale, it's not really a big deal. I don't think people really gave a shit and really cared. I'm gonna turn this off if you're gonna be like this. I'll just turn it off. We're not kicking him out. I know a lot of you guys were afraid of that, and I understand why, considering the last time of what happened. But he's not leaving. But if you think that I wasn't ready to do it, you're out of your damn mind. You could ask Maya. I was literally crying.
We were crying yesterday morning because
I thought I was gonna have to do it.
Has to leave today. We're not kicking him out, but he is getting help. He is gonna talk to somebody. He is gonna change his behavior. He is gonna. It's so hard to say it without sounding cliche and like not genuine. But he really does want to be better. Like he doesn't want to make people uncomfortable. He's gonna change himself so that he doesn't do that. Because this was a lot. This was more than a wake up call. This was like, yeah. So there you go.
You know, if you don't think we don't live in a cyberpunk dystopia, just look at the meme images that are just coupled with like a chat discussing an SA allegation. It's just incredibly strange. But hey man, it's not as weird as Amaranth watching them all argue while she dances to Just Dance with her Switch.
No, I agree. We've completely moved beyond the main point, which is something that I have mentioned numerous times at this point.
What is the point?
And I do agree. We have done that. And I think that's a really shitty way to cover this.
I don't know how that's real. So when Adrianna spoke about this, she said Mizkif and Maya ran damage control, right? Allegedly, a lot of streamers, they all knew about Slick's behavior. Now, which ones really actually knew about Slick's behavior? Who knows? Right? It could be anyone that's close to Mizkif at the very least. I can tell you from personal experience, in that zeitgeist, in the quote-unquote in crowd, everyone knows everybody's dirty laundry. It's kind of like mutually assured destruction of clout capital. Take it for what you will. I will say that makes me very disillusioned, and I know plenty of stuff, right? People can make or break careers by including or disincluding people from stuff. It's a terrible experience, and trust me, I was there. I lived it. Especially in your early 20s. I don't know how to be close with people anymore. I'm hurt and projecting and wish I could share, but I'll leave it at that because I don't want to ruin other people's careers. So much has happened while editing. I needed to sit down and add on a bonus episode to this video. We'll get back to Adrianna's story in a moment. Keep it in your mind, but it's time for a crash course on Seer and Minx. We'll start with Seer. You see, Seer was accused by Edwin, another drama YouTuber, during a stream making an accusation that Seer was 25 dating a 17-year-old. I talked in confidence with Edwin about this, and he'll probably be going into details soon, and we've talked about sitting down and having a long-form discussion about this, so at some point that'll be out, maybe before the video, maybe after. But I don't know if this accusation is true. Seer has been a creator for a long time, and yes, I shit you not, he was friends with Onision at one point. Obviously, Onision doesn't speak kindly of Seer. It was a chaotic friendship, as things tend to be with Onision. Seer and Edwin had also actually been friends. They were roommates for a time, believe it or not. Seer had cheated on an ex named Mina, and then he met Dasha, who from the drama at the time seems to want to embody Mina, allegedly dressing like her, being like her, literally wanting to become her. Allegedly, of course. I'll let some of the info down below speak for itself, but a lot of this stems from a time when Seer was in a poly relationship with Mina and Dasha, right? Stick with me, we'll get right back to Edwin's accusation. Dasha allegedly posted altered pictures of Mina on Pretty Ugly Little Liars, which is like kiwi farms for white women. There was also another site that the same video I link makes the same joke, but I just want to say that I made that joke before I heard that line. Anyway, Dasha never addressed those accusations about posting pictures on the forum and instead said Mina fakes followers. Ooh, saucy. Let's not lose the plot here, though. This is about Seer, and at the time, it seems, in my opinion, that Seer was complete and utterly bitchmate. At the time, he told an alleged teen basically to die. He was very ride or die for his woman Dasha, I guess, and just gotta embody that very toxic goth woman attitude, I guess. I don't know. The most concrete and damning evidence against Seer is that he conspired with his girlfriend Dasha to flag and basically try to take down Edwin's channel.
To ask you something, if you have any like friends that you can trust. So our thing is we're not gonna make a video back at Edwin. When his video comes out, all of our friends on Discord and everyone I can trust will flag it for harassment with like with certain words. Like it has to be very neutral, not like as if we sent our people. Like Vincent is gonna send out a little thing to everyone what it should sound like and what words it needs to contain for YouTube to see it. And we're trying to get his video taken down and then another video taken down professionally by an agency. And if he gets that 3 times, then his channel is going to be deleted. So once the video is taken down, is uploaded by him, would you be down to like flag it on YouTube? I mean, it's anonymous on YouTube and write a little thing about how it's harassment. It doesn't even have to be long. And if you have any friends who could help us just flagging the video for harassment, that would mean the world.
Now, from the publicly available info, it appears that Dasha is the mastermind behind this plan and many of the other plots over the course of the relationship. Seer is being strung along, being the wallet, being the man connected to YouTube. I should also mention that that also doesn't free him from responsibility just because he is not in charge here. Even if the partner is toxic, do I have to invoke he who should not be named again in this video, right? And his worse half of a partner as an example. So Edwin makes this crazy claim, right? And this is not me confirming that claim, but I did look into it and found something very interesting. Also, by the way, if you have a story, shoot me a DM on Twitter or anything like that, because I used this to figure out whether or not Dasha and Seer are together. And according to a source that provided comments of Dasha, apparently they're still in contact. Though I don't think Dasha is a very good narrator, right? She's very unreliable. Okay, so here's where this ties into what Edwin said, and I don't think these are the same thing, but it's obviously not a good situation. Allegedly, an individual going by the name of Charlie, age 16 at the time, claims that they were groomed by Dasha, allegedly of course, saying how they should visit LA when they are legal. And boy oh boy is it an interesting archive twitlonger type thing. So reading from this archive twitlonger, quote unquote, Dasha DM'd me letting me know that she was deactivating her Twitter to focus on studying for uni, something like that. She gave me her phone number to add her on WhatsApp. I was a huge fan, so this was big for me. She added me into a group chat with Seer too, so I had both their numbers. They'd also send me vids like this, Seer stabbing a Polaroid pic of Edwin, and basically the entire group chat became a little Mina and Edwin hate club. It gets pretty dark when they started to ask me, knowing I was 16, to come and hang out in LA, and even suggested to fly me out at one point. I don't have a voice note of the suggestion, but there's an old chat with my best friend about it when it happened. Also, she sent me lots of funny, not safe for work art, but also send actual sext between her and Seer. I remember midway through a convo once, she told me she was in the middle of having sex while she spoke to me, again, a 16-year-old. Dasha frequently sent Mina's unedited nudes or news that she hadn't posted into the group chat, as well as going as far to sending us Mina's phone number to harass her. Some things about Seer and Dasha's relationship were really fucking not right. Even a 16-year-old me knew that. Seer was very much controlled by Dasha, but at the same time, he definitely was not a victim. She also slut-shamed a lot. She outed Mina as a sex worker to the whole group chat, despite being a sex worker herself, as well as using it as ammo against her. Also told us sex lives of both Edwin and Mina, which is not only personal, but also inappropriate as hell to tell a minor. I also ghost wrote all of Dasha's public apologies and Instagram captions for her at the time. You know, I want us to acknowledge that this is very old, so it's very hard to like pin down the validity of this, but Seer is here in this group chat and he's never putting a stop to it. There was the plotting of the flagging. Does he seem like a mastermind in this? No, but this was like 2017. It wasn't that long ago. I'm sure he remembers it quite clearly. Either way, it's not a good look optics-wise, but I just wanted to bring it up because of that accusation, and it's not the same thing, but it is quite interesting, and Seer is part of OTK. I'm not asking him to be like canceled or anything. I just think this is something you should know. All right, let's move on to Minx, aka Justa Minx, who fought at the Creator Clash, and she is, of course, featured in that wonderful video defending Slick in the worst way possible. Now, there was a whole previous beef that Minx had regarding like a hot tub stream, and you know, let's talk about that a little bit. According to Jake Lucky, who she called a sexist and a bunch of other stuff, apparently there was a bunch of intoxicated house guests twerking and air humping inanimate objects in their bikinis, and basically Lucky slammed Twitch over their provocative and sexually mature live streams. Minx points out how there was no issue, and this happened 3 different times on a man stream with actual fucking views, according to Minx. Which, you know, I agree. You know, this should have been an issue both times, right? But, you know, it's part of my community's job to clown on Lucky for how he covers a lot of the drama on the internet. Lucky basically clarifies, saying that all he was saying is clearly Twitch has changed its ways of what it deems sexual content nowadays, and it's sad, quote, end quote. Which, you know, I figure I gotta mention this somewhere in the video, right? We all remember that chick getting railed on the platform, in case you didn't know. Yes, chick was getting railed on the platform. 7-day ban for that, by the way. There's also financial domination streams, which Twitch is just getting a really horrendous representation. Though I hope that the fetishes that Twitch streamers are giving to their teenage audience are at least the kind of fetishes that don't make teenagers financially insolvent.
Oh, hard. Don't be a pussy. You be first. Come on, let's go. Come on, Harge. Don't be poor. You already did $1. Guess what? I'm literally getting 60 cents. Okay, you don't sub right now. 3, 2, 1, you're getting banned. Ten, 9, 8.
Let's be real, guys. It's not all 18-year-olds. All you have to do is say, I'm 18. Now, Minx is allegedly having a manic episode in this Slick drama, right? This is why she's acting so mocking to Adriana, which I guess is the argument other people are making as well in a way to defend her. Okay, and maybe I'm producing a straw man there, but listen, let me keep my thoughts on this very clear. Having a manic episode is not an excuse for bad behavior, especially directed at others. Minx's behavior is reprehensible. There is evidence of poor behavior in 2020 that we'll get into in a moment. You can't hide behind mental illness as a shield anytime you get heat. Creators have used that excuse before, and while those struggles are real, and I don't want to minimize them, poor behavior does not get you a free pass. The gambling addict doesn't get a free pass for talking and taking people's money and scamming them and doing all that. You don't get a free pass for laughing at an SA allegation. Ezra Miller literally just did the same thing after allegedly assaulting people. They also ran a weird sex cult where they talked about women's breeding abilities in Iceland. Oh, but they're getting help. Oh, Ezra Miller's getting help. That annoys me. You know, creators get the luxury of hiding behind mental illness when they're involved in something. And hey, it may be true. I would like to think that they are struggling, right? Not because I want to see them suffer or anything, but because the alternative is that they're just lying. You know, people are working 9-to-5 jobs. They just don't get that kind of leeway with stuff like that. You know, they don't get the luxury of saying, well, I was having mental health issues. You can say that, but most just don't get the ability to say that. And I know this might be a shocker, but most of them don't get as good a treatment as you can get because you got all the bread. So what was that poor behavior? I'm sorry. I just had to rant. The slim chance that reaches Minx, it's not just her. There's like a detached attitude in so many creators as if they don't realize the outside world anymore. I just hope I never become like that. Okay, so, man, this is a rough one. Minx 2020, let's get into that. It seems like birds of a feather flock together, and the birds are very shitty. Okay, so we're gonna focus on Minx here, but again, I need to add some more characters to this long story. This is Toxic/Angel, who claims Minx blackmailed her. Emmy OK is another streamer that makes a claim about Toxic also being bad. Now, perhaps Toxic is bad, but Emmy, baby. I went on one live stream fails, and you got quite the incriminating post. That same thing that Toxic/Angel is mentioning about your ex, is that the same ex that is in these videos with your dog?
All over the fucking floor because it's 1 p.m. and he's peeing more.
Yep, and I will clean it.
Like,
do you want him to pee in the hallway? Do you want him to pee in the elevator?
Maybe take care of your dog or give him to someone who can take care of him.
What is wrong with you? You do this every day. You're insane.
I'm insane?
Yes, I'm so happy.
I'm
this is
insane?
over. You're actually insane.
He's just pissing everywhere.
You hit this.
I hit it. Yes, I hit it on the stand because because it's fucking hilarious how you record me, record everything I do, but now when
Emotionally abusive?
Emotionally abusive.
You laugh at me, but
the only one who's abusive is you. Look at your fucking dog.
Now, I should mention, he claims you were abusive, right? It may be possible that both of you were pretty bad, right? I mean, you could call the cops on him. Oh, but, you were going to protest police brutality. And, I'm not trying to ruin your career here, but, man, I didn't know blackface was in vogue for women such as yourself these days. Or perhaps the swastika is more of your style. I mean, allegedly you locked your dog in a closet while you were out. I understand everybody has those edgy phases where they just put on blackface. Those in glass houses, I just figured that was so extreme enough that I had to at least mention it for some variety here. Okay, so Toxic/Angel rebranded after scamming people, allegedly. That post that Toxic mentions has the blackface in it. That's how I found it. Also, a follower of mine actually posted that. Anyway, it seems like Minx has kept a very good company. But what is Toxic claiming happened, right? So Toxic mentions how she felt peer pressured by Minx, and then as a result, Minx threatened her career. Minx blackmailed her. And then later on, Minx and Toxic talk in the DMs. I don't know if you realize this, but you manipulated and hurt many people in the last community you were in. And instead of owning up to your mistake, you ran from them. I wanted to believe you changed, but this shows me otherwise. If you want to hop on a call, I'm willing to talk about it more so I can hear your side, because bro, I hate cancel culture, and I know you have family to support, and I don't want this affecting anyone's livelihoods. I also completely understand if you don't want to talk to two. Let me know. Also, I've heard from a fellow content creator that you, quote-unquote, hate my guts and talked bad about me during your time on Project Simp. I've had issues with you and your manipulation tactics, but I never tried to talk behind your back or discredit you because I respected you as a content creator. It sucks you couldn't give me the same respect. Listen, frankly, I don't trust any of these people as far as I could throw them. This is always about how this can ruin someone's career, the optics. I got a virtue signal to be on the right side of history. It just all seems very gross, right? Toxic may even be bad, but it doesn't make Minx out to be a saint either. And Emmy, okay, maybe next time you make a call-out post, don't also include hints to what you've done bad in the past too. Make a bulletproof argument for the internet, or they're gonna post really funny things in the replies. So Minx is doing this stuff in 2020 and, then goes on later to verify Slick's behavior online by her statement in that clip.
Jacking off right now. Or something horny. I just remember something to do with jacking off. And she did not reply. She doesn't have screenshots.
No, he did not, did he?
But she didn't entertain the message. So he immediately...
So with that mentioning of Slick, let's move back to the main Slick moment. Hey guys, I got one more thing to mention about Minx. I know you must love Minx, so you got some more. Minx mentioned in the live stream, you know, the famous live stream that I keep mentioning. She drops a quote very haphazardly to her live stream, mentioning that wasn't the thing that Miz was covering up. What was Miz covering up? Now, I don't know what that is.
In this situation, this has actually been affecting me for a long fucking time.
Bring me in.
It's ruined my friendships.
It's not only. But
Sound
this
asleep,
isn't the
honk
thing
shoe,
that
honk
Miz was
shoe.
Covering up. This wasn't the...
Minx, I would love it if you were to tell the audience, tell the internet at large, what was Miz covering up? Maybe it was nothing. Maybe that was a Freudian slip. But I have been reading this for the last 48 hours. I am so tired. Now, I don't mention. I don't know if I mentioned this in my piece to camera where I'm dressed like this, right? But Corinna Kumpf, or whatever her name is. She was like exposed a long time ago for like producing merchandise that said the word anxiety on it, and she was like kind of profiteering off of mental illness or whatever. That's what people said, right? She was streaming gambling as the ban on gambling came down on Twitch. It's also not a blanket gamble. I think I mentioned that in the video. Anyway, you know, Corinna is, I mean, just look at this. Look at the a detached from the world, dude. Detached from the world. You know, you guys could play video games, right? Like you could play games. Whatever. Okay, back to Diesel. I will say, though, Adriana's story does have echoes of something I've heard before. If only I could put my finger on it. If only there was a systemic history of these horrible things happening. I wonder where or who or what industry. Now, Slick had made a short response about all of this before basically vanishing from the internet, so I'll read that quote now. I have never essayed anyone and never will. I have never had any intentions of harming anyone. I go out of my way to check on someone and get accused of a word I'm not allowed to say on YouTube because they don't know how to act. This is unfair. I'll be getting a lawyer as soon as possible. And then he invokes, learn from the Johnny Depp situation and think first. He follows that up by saying, I never checked her pulse on her chest. I checked her neck and wrist only. And then he follows it up by saying, when I refer to Johnny Depp, it means to look at both sides and don't think guilty before proven innocent. I don't know if that's what you were invoking the first time you said it, but hey man. According to those close to Slick, he dropped a few farewell messages in private later on, and we know what those all indicate, don't we? I don't need to spell it out, but again, while I was writing the script, he was found safe and not dead, which is a weird play. I don't want to say it's a play. I've been looking at this all day, guys. I am so fucking tired. So meanwhile, Adriana has been sharing multiple stories from multiple fans and women of Slick, and they paint a very ugly picture of the guy. I showed some of them earlier to make a point against just the Minx. Whether or not all these messages shared are real is definitely hard to say, since this story has really big egos, and you know, these are big enough egos that fans might be even rabid enough to manufacture things, or they'd manufacture things themselves. But allegedly, Slick is just not a good guy. He's up to no good pretty often. Allegedly, that's how it looks. Adriana has a whole thread of these that are going to be linked down in the sources below. And you know, this is a horrible, horrible look for Slick, especially as more and more people are saying, hey, he sent me unsolicited pictures too. He did this, he did that. It's a lot to unpack. Remember, this originally started because we were talking about gambling, which we need to address in some capacity, but on top of that now, you have this massive cover-up because Slick is friends with powerful streamers. It's horrible, and I feel bad that I don't feel bad about this. Maybe it's a byproduct of my job. But now you have all these streamers talking about Slick and Adriana trying to defend herself against people saying, oh, you're lying, you're a clout chaser, you're this and that. And people looking to take down Mizkif and take him down a peg, right? Which one of the people to do that was Ice Poseidon, who's another streamer that got involved. And you know, Ice is highly controversial. He knows that, yet also doesn't want to admit it sometimes, at least from tweets I see that. He was involved in a crypto scam, tons of stuff, you know, yada yada, glass houses. There's a whole, you can watch a dozen videos on Ice Poseidon to really get that picture. But you know, he wanted to take a shot at Mizkif, and he shared Mizkif dropping the hard R. and it was just a slur as any % speed run that he showed off of Mizkif, which, so since I began writing, and this is going to show you some of how I've been sitting here all day writing the script, right? Twitch issued a statement on gambling because they needed to do something about whether or not to gamble on their site, right? And I don't know if the big streamers who were against it had any sway in this decision. It happened very quickly, so I don't know if they really got their chance to say anything to Twitch. But basically the update's this, right? US and other jurisdictions, you're good to gamble, whatever that means. By and large, you'll have some form of gambling on the site. So I don't know if people can call this a win. I'm not really sure. Sports betting, fantasy sports, and poker are all still fair game on the platform. I guess there's skill involved in those, but hey man, I don't play poker like a master strategist. I play it like I'm one whiskey too deep as I roleplay the cowboy I wish I was. CrazySlick is this alleged creep, and now he's deleted all of his socials, right? And it's basically in shambles. The entire Twitch community in shambles, right? Okay, so you want to hear a funny joke, internet? This video has been no means been comprehensive. Yeah, I've actually left tons of side drama out, even more stuff that paints various other streamers poorly in this video. I'm talking about like Pokimane, Hassan, so many other people. And, I'm sure if you go out looking for these videos that you'll find them. I excluded these stories to narrow down all the tangents and make it feel like a line that you can follow to the end. It's not me having a bias for protecting these people, but I just wanted to point that out as we go into the end of Twitchongelion, okay? If you're a big Twitch streamer and you're watching this, just realize that I personally despise the whole spineless degeneracy and this career climbing crony clout capital garbage. All the blackmailing political farce garbage that you guys do and have made into a career. It happens on YouTube too. I just don't like playing it, okay? There are these people who stream for 8-10 hours a day, and they have this weird caricature of being a genuine moral paragon when in fact they're just lizard folk masquerading as quirky millennials. If not for the fact that you lack the sheer firepower to shut people up indefinitely, I'd imagine all of you will fit incredibly well in Washington with your forked silver-tongued BS that you give off every day to thousands of people about the issues you pretend to care about. I've been making drama videos since I was 13, and I've been personally involved in very crazy stuff before. It's been terrible and chaotic, but I have never seen anything like this. It's like a college stage production of Hollywood's most horrid hits. But whatever, you know what? I'm a drama frog, right? I don't care. I'm doing it for cloud, whatever. Whatever they want to say and tell me. But just realize that I have come to understand that there is an incredible human toll with the content that I produce. And many viewers don't realize it, but I try to explain that for people. I realize how my content carries a weight, and I try to be more careful and empathetic about what I cover. This story has me questioning if I can do this for another 10 years. It's very depressing, physically draining. And, while for the most part I do my own thing these days, I've spoken in this video about how I miss having a creator friend group for all of the chaos that it can cause. I know that all of those things will never happen again, though, given the nature of my work. It's a path that I took, and I realize that. I cover drama because I feel there's a hole lacking in this sphere of people putting into work, but also caring. To stop being green and really get my feet wet and become a better journalist than those people who jerk themselves off with self-satisfied opinion puff pieces. They get stuff wrong all the time, and it makes me very upset. But I understand, they have their own political game to play. Well, I'm independent. My game is my channel, and I just want it to succeed. But, with all that said, I don't want to break my morals, and let's move back to the story. Adriana got not only played, but taken advantage of. Viewers for seemingly years have been lied to about who these individuals are. I think we're all pretty clear on that. And recently there was a recording, and this recording is a call. Destiny, a streamer on YouTube, played this call. This leaked call is incredibly damning, and I'm going to give broad strokes of the call, though you can definitely find the full call out there to listen to yourself. It's very, very interesting, and you see where Mizkif's priorities lie. Much of the call, Mizkif was very worried about his friend, CrazySlick, and he paints the picture of a man who injected himself into this situation to ensure the best outcome for a man he cared about. His best friend he needed to act, while getting very emotional.
I want you to listen to the scenario. I woke up. I remember the whole day. It was one of the scariest days of my lives. My best friend in the whole world, Slick, is getting accused of, people are saying he's about to get canceled. I run in his room. Maya's crying. I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm hyperventilating. Mitch is there. We're all trying to figure out what the fuck we can do for my best friend, right? I care about Slick. I fucking do. I love the guy. And people were telling us, mainly Barry, that yo, AdriannaLee's about to come out with some shit because Novaru the night before said some shit, right? Novaru was like
dumb
Slick super
fucking
creepy.
shit, yeah.
Right. She went out and tried to say some stupid ass shit and accusations about Slick. I am freaking out and I'm literally crying because I'm saying to myself, I'm gonna lose my best friend. I'm gonna lose my best friend in the entire world. Maya's upset. Mitch is sitting there. We're all freaking out. So then, what I did is I tried to get answers. I tried to get what is AdriannaLee thinking? What is going on here? What's happening to my best friend? I wanted to know.
Were you there that night, Mez?
Man, you have a best friend. You want to know what happened. You want to know the answers. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Please remove your bias and tell me hearing this isn't crazy to you. He's justifying by saying it's his best friend. What the fuck are you saying right now? It's your excuse is it's your best friend. That is what I'm saying is wrong about it. You should not be involved. If it's your best friend, you remove yourself. Information. Why are you going? Why are you going before the tweet comes out?
Because we didn't know anything. We barely even knew that there was a tweet.
That's not your business to know. That's not your business to know.
When your best friend is getting canceled, man, I'm sorry you want to act. I'm sorry you just want to act.
That act is inappropriate. The act is inappropriate. And what do you mean, best friend? You care, Ms.
I do care.
You were in a situation.
You know how hard it is to be
Ms.
with your best friend getting absolutely fucking canceled, and you want to try to make sure he's okay.
Ms.
I care about Slick. I stepped up and I was like, okay, what can we do to try to fucking make sure that we get the information and that Slick is okay? What can we do to make sure we understand what fucking...
You know, it was confirmed that Miz sent Maya over because she's a girl and everyone likes her, allegedly. While Barry, another person in this call, alleges that what Maya did was gaslight once she got there, downplayed the situation deliberately and maliciously. Though whether or not this is true remains to be seen, because it seems like Barry has his own games to play, and he's planning on taking down Mizkif, given that he's been giving quotes to Ice Poseidon.
Mitch there. Mitch was just acting like stupid Mitch the
His
whole
dumbass,
time.
yeah.
While he wasn't like... It was basically Maya gaslighting Adriana the whole time. Basically saying, are you sure this is what Slick did to you? You were pretty drunk. You wouldn't remember it. Are you sure? That doesn't sound something like Slick would do. We know Slick. Shit like that.
So let's,
and
let's
then,
go
and
with
then
what you
one more
just
thing, one more thing. And then she was like, if you tweet longer, CrazySlick, this won't be good for your streaming career. You won't
Yes.
be like I said, she was like, are you sure that happened? You were drunk. You wouldn't remember it, right? That doesn't sound like CrazySlick. And then saying like, if you tweet longer, Slick, this will not be good for your streaming career. You won't be invited anywhere, stuff like that. And she was like saying it like.
Are you sure Maya said that? I really can't picture Maya saying that.
Yeah, I remember it, dude.
Okay,
I just remember driving.
Let me go to this train.
Though, you know, one of the insane things about this call and how evil a lot of it is the whole ruining reputation things coming out. So I'm trying to narrow down on the asides here, but it's hard to ignore this one. Train in 2016 was sexually harassing Alinity. The messages at this time paint Train as a degen simp who's very obsessed with Alinity and how pretty she is. I don't know if I agree with that, but hey, okay. But what happened next is that Alinity made a very bold claim at this time, and I'll just let you take a look.
I mean, I think if a person tells you that they're gonna rape you, that's something that's not cool, you know? It's just not, yeah. So I don't think I would ever want to be alone with that guy, ever. I'm terrified of him, honestly. So...
Now, that is a huge claim to make, and logs and messages of this time were shown off that definitely paint Train as being extremely down bad in the chat simping for Alinity, but what she claims doesn't really seem to be anywhere, and Train seems like the kind of person who would put his stuff out there, especially since he was fine with this still being in the call, right? But Alinity said to the Daily Dot that, quote, if it wasn't in any of the channels that have recorded logs, it would have been in one that wasn't. He also had my Snapchat, so if I'm misremembering, it could have been there. Now, a quote like that doesn't make this any easier, because it doesn't absolve Train, it doesn't make him look good, but this definitely doesn't help Alinity at all. It could have been. It could have been anywhere. Or it could not exist at all and you could just be covering for yourself. And since it's clear that Twitch streamers have like these weird ego trip taking down to competition things going on, I mean, it's completely possible it's made up. Or it's true. I don't know. Anyway, this whole thing Mizkif was threatening to use as blackmail against Train. Or at least optics-wise, that's what it looks like I'm seeing. I could be wrong. It's just how I feel about that call and what Mizkif is doing. But that's definitely what it seems like. So Destiny's playing this call, right? And it's very chaotic. Roughly 60,000 people are watching this live as it happens at like 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But Mitch Jones goes live during this. And I haven't Mitch mentioned, I'm leaving that one in. I haven't mentioned Mitch in this video, but if I had to describe Mitch, he's kind of like Littlefinger. He's always scheming in the background, except unlike Littlefinger, Mitch lacks conviction and is rather dense, where Littlefinger is more aware of his scheming. So let me explain Mitch. Mitch is a streamer and he'd basically been afraid to speak up at all this entire thing because he was afraid of being removed from his house and being blacklisted like Adriana. He had things he wanted, and this definitely got in the way of that. Mitch is caught between morals and career, and as a result, Mitch in the call is wet noodling his way through this. But then he goes live on a stream where he calls up a friend, and his friend asks him straightforward the question that we all wanted to know the answer to. And Mitch says exactly what we saw coming.
We'll answer it.
Okay, give the chat a yes or no a yes or no answer. Did Miz explicitly give direction to you and Maya and fucking whoever the fuck else was in that room to go to Adriana's house and to quote unquote downplay the situation or find a way to save Slick's ass? Yes or no?
The answer to that is yes.
Mitch also clarifies that there was a pre-save Slick's ass meeting, and they had basically all went there, and Mitch recalls what Miz said to Maya Higa at the time.
That Miz said, like, again, because people can make their own interpretation of that, correct?
Clarify it. What were the exact words that were said?
The exact words that were said were like, Maya, you are Maya Higa. You know who you are. You're a woman. She'll listen to you. Not like maybe listen's the wrong word, but you know what I mean. She, like, does that make any sense? Those were along the lines. And then he looked at me and he was like, Mitch, you should shut the fuck up and not say a goddamn thing. And that was that.
If this is true, this is incredibly unhinged, right? This is beyond anything ever, right? This is a hype obsession before you go to find out what happened. But I mean, with the info like this, you know, does OTK even need investigators to come in? I mean, Miz and Maya seem like they are done. Like, their ship has sailed. Like, period. End of conversation. Speaking about Mizkif and all of this specifically, I mean, it seems that Miz has been caught allegedly blackmailing. It looks as if he knowingly hid info, and I'm just curious what other Twitch streamers in the Austin, Texas area might know, and are very glad that they're not being questioned about. I should mention, I have mutuals in that scene, so hey guys, if you want to keep it private and just DM me, I will be totally cool with an anonymous whistleblower. It's been a while since I've had a breaking story, so, you know, I'll take that if you're willing to give it. The call is really the nail in the coffin for Miz, and Maya also not being in the call is very bad, as it basically means that other people get to decide what she said, but hey, for right now, she can't fight back against Barry's claims. She dropped a twit longer, and we'll read it in a little bit. Focusing on Miz, though, Miz's love for Slick, in my opinion, does make it seem that Miz would insinuate his crew sweep this under the rug. These high-level political plays definitely don't seem above him, based on the call that we have, right? Right now, it tells me that Miz is done forever, right? Not only to leave OTK, but like to leave the internet done. I can't imagine him coming back, period. And I don't imagine Mitch will be doing any better. His wishy-washiness, his work ethic, it's all very complicated. And, you know, man, oh man, there's a lot we gotta cover with all of these little Twitch streamers. So let's find out where everyone's at the end of the story, shall we? So, since I've covered Miz, what about Mitch? Well, I don't think his career is up in flames. Him owning up to this is better than nothing, really. It seems like the better half of his brain won out, I guess optically, as far as the public is concerned. While he definitely seems like a people pleaser, he definitely knuckled down and said what needed to be said, because Lord knows we were waiting for somebody who was there to say something. Now, Maya is a very interesting one, considering that she's been implicated very personally in this situation. Maya's entire image and brand is very nice and animal friendly, and that's absolutely tarnished beyond measure. I mean, Miz basically sold her up a river in a call. She clearly will be giving a piece about all of this, and the Twitlonger was not any better, so, you know, there's that. I just don't know what the hell you do after all this, you know. Basically, she'd need to really prove her innocence, and given what we see of the Twitlonger, there's nothing there that doesn't paint her as complicit. It's not great. So with that said, the Twitlonger, let's get to it. So Maya said in her Twitlonger that she was, quote, not offered the opportunity to represent myself on a call, and thus what was said and my attentions on that day in question were misrepresented. I've already spoken my truth on a stream on 9/19/2022, but in light of the false allegations brought upon me, I feel the need to speak it again. I do not want to engage in nuke wars. I do not want to play games. I will only speak my own intentions and actions that day. I did not go to the house that day with the intention of manipulating Adrianna's story. I did not cover up sexual assault. This would not be possible, as even Adrianna did not consider the incident sexual assault until this past Monday, 9/19/22. Let me correct you on that, because you released your own DMs where you and Adrianna both refer to it as SA at that time, okay? So that is completely not correct at all, or you're misremembering, or you're deliberately leaving something out. And since that is one of the top replies underneath this Twitlonger tweet, I can't imagine she's completely unaware of that fact, you know? Adrianna's feelings regarding the situation have rightfully changed since that day, and I support her, she says. She goes on to say, quote, I did ask her about her experience, and I did go there with the intention of understanding the truth of the incident that occurred at the party in January of 2020. At that time, I thought this was the right thing to do. I fully understand that it was wrong given my position to insert myself into that situation. I apologize for the power dynamic and the harm it might have caused. I really don't know how to feel about the power dynamic thing, because while that is definitely a part of this, I feel like even if you guys were on a level playing field, that, you know, it just, like I feel like you're using that as an excuse for the implications that are brought against you, but whatever. She goes on to say, I have privately apologized to Adrianna and will publicly apologize again. I am truly sorry for Adrianna's experiences with CrazySlick and for the experiences of other women who have shared their stories. I am sorry, and I feel horrible for being part of the reason that Adrianna has experienced everything that she has in the past year. I am sorry that this has become a nauseating he said, she said battle. I mean, what do you think the investigators are going to do? And if there are investigators and that is genuine, they're going to be interviewing everybody about what they said anyway. So he said, she said, happening in public or private is going to be happening either way. And at least for the internet's chaos, they have corroborated a lot of the information, and you know, whether or not it's he said, she said remains to be seen. But I mean, that's kind of what happens in a lot of these situations, but I feel like that belittles the seriousness of it. I've remained in this industry because I've always seen streaming as a means to an end. The end being a powerful platform to further conservation education. For those of you who are still willing to support my platform, thank you. For those of you unwilling, I understand. I'm stepping away from my online platforms indefinitely. I am sorry. Thank you all for reading. One of the things that kind of like weirds me out about all these Twitlongers from Twitch streamers is, like, even though they are apologizing for a thing, and Mizkif had this too, there's always a line where they like thank their audience, and it drives me nuts. This is not the time to do that, but hey man, I can't tell you how to write what you want. I just know that I wouldn't want to thank people in the same breath that I am also apologizing for being accused of something abhorrent. You know what I mean? So I guess take it how you will. I'm not gonna like rake her over the coals from it, but you know, that cover, the alleged cover portion is definitely an issue for me, I think, you know, and We got 1,000 replies here, and they're very critical. And they're also bringing up her inconsistencies in this quote-unquote apology, you know. So, yeah, sheesh. Anyway, yeah, Maya's going to be stepping away indefinitely. I don't know if indefinitely means forever. Some of them will take months breaks and then come back either way. I don't know if she should be stepping away indefinitely. I don't know. I don't know what the call is. I don't want to keep people from ever doing their job. You know, I feel strongly about this, so I don't know. So Seer is one that I mentioned in this video for a little brief tangent episode, right? You know, Seer's learned to navigate and avoid drama much earlier than many of these streamers. And he definitely cut his teeth with Edwin and Onision in like the biggest fire ever, right? His ex has implicated him in behavior that I'm really surprised has remained so low-key over the years. It's not a good look, and I'll definitely need to look into him after this on my own. Adriana allegedly groped him at a party, I should mention, and it was allegedly squashed over text. Now, dudes usually downplay this stuff. It's not socially acceptable for men to speak out about anything like that. People want something to be done about this and want some kind of quid pro quo towards Adriana, and they've been talking about it like that online. I'm just telling you that this happened, but there's not much else information out there without Seer or Adriana speaking about it at length. So use that information as you will. What do you think about Seer and Adriana there? Though Seer definitely deserves his own video for some of the things that I've learned about him. Speaking of videos, Minx definitely deserves her own video too. Right now it seems that Minx is getting let off the hook using mental health as the angle. I've made a really strong tweet about this, you know, and you know, the mental health thing, it's probably real, right? Though I don't trust Twitch streamers, if you couldn't tell. I would hope you don't lie about this to save your ass, considering how difficult it is for people. Minx has incredibly damning behavior catalog that's just a small footnote in this story, but regardless is terrible and speaks poorly of her nonetheless. Blackmail is a favorite of Twitch streamers, and she's taking a break now and probably processing for how good or not good Slick is. And hey man, if you got it wrong about who Slick was, that's fine, but apparently like everybody knew that he was a horny man who was doing bad things. So there's that. I feel though that Minx will just get away with this very scot-free, and I think people are like finding her as some champion for, you know, dealing with that, and it's just not cool. I'm not feeling appropriate of it. I spoke about Minx earlier in this video though, so you know how I feel. Now for Train. Well, Train is a very complicated individual, a main character in this story, you know. Part of me really wants to side with Train. I really want to like Train. And, you know, I personally don't mind gambling. It's never been my vice in life, you know. I don't think most people making a stink about it really care. But I get the need for some kind of regulation as well, you know. I think keeping the types of gambling that require a little skill involved is a good medium, you know. I enjoy playing poker for fun, not for money, and, you know, while I don't want to learn or play with money, it might just be an interesting thing to learn by watching on Twitch. You know, Train seems like super unhinged, but also much more genuine than many of his contemporaries. It's hard for me to make a call with the Alinity stuff or if this Adriana story was weaponized, though at this point in the narrative, I don't really know if I care if it was weaponized. I think justice, even a little bit, has been done. You know, these are people that hold some real demons, and hey man, they needed to be knocked down at some point. And you can disagree with that point if you want, but it's better to come out than not come out at all. Even if it was weaponized, and I mean, that's shitty. But hey, the last person I want to give an aside to is Pokimane. Few people have worried about a woman like they've worried about Pokimane. This lady scares me. In the call, she's called a ruthless businesswoman, and frankly, I believe it. She does not like bad press ever. She's very good at controlling the narrative. She is hell-bent on just making sure she controls every aspect of her PR. You know, and her demeanor, I don't know about you, but it reads as very fake and not real to me. You know, she's a person who seems like she could snap away someone's career by way of her audience and her connections, and she clearly has an ego that makes it a dangerous match. whatever skeletons are in her closet, well, she's definitely got blackmail to keep it in there. And, you know, excuse me for making another Game of Thrones reference. I don't want to turn this into something like, you know, just like a show for fun. But like, if I had to make a comparison, she's like Cersei, right? She's scheming. She knows where she is. She knows she's powerful. Girl boss, gatekeep, gaslight. Adriana is apparently going to be speaking with the healthy gamer, Dr. K, I think his name is. And it's hard for me to know who Adriana is as a person because I've only experienced her through this story, and she's like all of these characters, very complicated, very multifaceted, and dealing with lots of different things that affect who she is. It's hard for me to feel empathy without any questioning of her own integrity, and I know that makes me sound very callous, but you got to remember that I need to be asking the question, is a source gilding the lily? You know, is this person trying to make the story more than what it is? Is there something going on here that I'm not aware of? And, you know, do the research, but also keep asking questions, you know what I mean? So whether or not I feel that Adriana is completely innocent in everything, I don't know. Is the aspect of her working with Train in this way something that is bad? Like, what are these specifics, right? So I don't really know what to think about Adriana. It's hard for me to make a call there. The stuff with Seer is bad. I don't know, okay? I will designate myself as just reporting on her, right? Rather than taking her side, though she is probably more morally in the right than other people. Okay, and that's it. I'm done. I'm done adding anything else to this video. If something comes out to contradict something in this video, I'll make another video, but this is taking more man hours than anything else I've made in my entire life. So, you know, once again, please support me on Patreon, right? That would be nice. I'm thinking of switching from Twitch to YouTube because of all this, so tell me, should I make a live stream channel? Should I stream on the second channel that you can subscribe to down below? And hey, dude, this has been, I understand why the Right Opinion has like editors to keep everything in line now, because while I understand everything about this drama, I feel like I also understand it in like the way that the Mechanicus and 40K understand how a toaster works, where they like know that it toasts bread and it's a good toaster, but they don't understand what a toaster is. You know what I mean? I sound like a crazy person from Always, like, you know that Always Sunny meme? That's what I feel like when I describe this story to normal people. So there's that. Please support me anywhere you can. That'd be nice. I've got like 1 billion hours of editing for this video, so hopefully editing Diesel doesn't have to show up again.